services, and that is it's being live streamed. Okay, got it. So, and that is that is the agency that I own here in North Billerica, Massachusetts, in the United States. It's a home care agency. We give, we employ nurse assistants, we employ nurses, and we send them to patients' homes. And I don't call them patients because they're not sick. They are I refer to them as clients. And they need help. They just need, maybe they're no longer able to care for themselves. They need, with the activities of the daily living, like bathing, cooking, housekeeping. So I send employees there to help in such. But also I staff different facilities here, healthcare facilities in Massachusetts, which is a state here, and also in different states such as Rhode Island and neighboring states. I'm a wife to my handsome husband, Mark Mawanda, and I am a mother of 4 children. I have, ranging from 13 years old to a 1-year-old. So I'm pretty busy. But I thank you guys for this opportunity to be able to talk to other women and to encourage them to, think about their career. Because if I didn't think about my career, starting out at a young age, I don't think I would be here right now speaking to you guys. I'll probably be still struggling in, finding out what am I going to do, what next. But because I thought about all those things, and I'm here right now, so it's such a blessing, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. Yes. Wow, what an inspirational bio, a woman making power moves in the US, a Ugandan woman, a mother of 4, it's amazing how you managed to juggle all of that. So, I mean, we're definitely looking forward to learning more from you. For those of you who've just joined us, we have Carol here. She's a nurse practitioner based in the US, in the state of Massachusetts. Let's say that right.
Yes, you did it. You did it. You did it.
Yeah. Then she runs her own business, a nurse staffing service that's offering people opportunities, both men and women, right?
That's correct. That's
career opportunities. So reach out to her if you need this kind of service. Know that we have a Ugandan out there representing, making power career moves.
Amen.
Balancing life, work, motherhood, and that's just doing amazing at this all. So I think we'll just go right into this. And talk about generally what is a career. How do you understand? I mean, what does the word career mean to you, Carol?
Okay, so I did a few, one thing that I didn't mention in my introduction was that I have a YouTube channel that I focus on actually talking to people. It's called Caroline's Voice on Health and Wellness. But I do talk to people about their career and what are they, how to make a decision of a career path, pretty much. So what do I looked up some information in the dictionary. What does the dictionary describe a career as? And I wrote something down. So a dictionary describes the career as an occupation undertaken for a significant period of time of a person's life, and with opportunities for progress. So there's the few words that I can, put my emphasis on is significant period and for opportunities for progress. And when I say significant period, some people think that a career is something that, I'm going to think about, and then, it's going to take a week or days for you to come up with this. But this is, I just remember growing up when I was in nursery school, which we call elementary school here. They would ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I've seen myself ask that to my children, and my children say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be, my youngest daughter says she wants to be a makeup artist. And very few people are blessed to really, have that idea of what they want to be, and they will instantly continue with that idea that, they grow up and they still want to be makeup artists. They grow up and they still want to be doctors. But a career is a lifelong decision that you make. You can start out from I'm going to use a lot of examples pertaining to me in the healthcare field. So when I came to the United States, I was 16 years old. I got a job because that was the job that I was available as a personal care assistant, not a CNA, not a nursing assistant, but a personal care assistant. Sometimes you don't need any certificate to do that. So I got that job, and when I started out, I said, maybe this is something that I want to do. And then I went, and my mom paid for. No, it was the high school that I went to. They paid for us. To do, to do like a nursing assistant certificate. So I was able to climb a ladder from a PCA, which is the personal care assistant, helping somebody wash up, do these other little things in the home, to now working in a big facility as a nursing assistant. So a career is a long life. It starts out at the young stages, and then you decide and say, oh, let me increase, or maybe get a training and get further. So it's something you always have to think about it as a ladder. You're climbing a ladder, for success. So that's why the description that was in the dictionary was perfect. It is an opportunity of progress. So you're always finding opportunities for you to, to progress yourself in this particular field that you would like to be in. There's a lot of examples that you can think of, I always speak for the healthcare field because that's what I'm in. But, for example, my daughter says she wants to be a makeup artist. So she can start out young, to be making up on the dolls. And then later she's going to say, you know what? And then if I see that there's interest there, maybe I'll say, well, let me involve her in some sort of activities on the weekend. And then when she grows, and then she'll start, going further, maybe opening up a studio, maybe, looking for skills to make her a better makeup artist. So that's what I would describe as a career, always trying to find the right training and the right education for you. Yeah. And,
wow. I like that, that direction of thinking about career ladder for success, constant growth, constant progress, which is what I think a lot of us should really aspire to. I mean, no one wants to be in one stagnant place because the world is always evolving. I mean, we started with the first industrial revolution, the second, the third, now we're in the fourth industrial revolution, Speaking from a tech perspective, because I'm a computer engineer, technology is enabling a lot of changes. So the faster we adapt, the more open we are to learning and evolving in our careers, in our personal lives, the better for us, because even the jobs of yesterday are continuously changing. What our parents would do, some of them are no longer jobs now, or they're automated. So, constant journey, constant learning. Thank you for that, Karen. So I want to ask, why do you think it's important to, to plan your career? Why is career planning important?
I think that's a very vital question, and a vital thing for students, or even, I'm focusing on student because at any age you can be a student. So when I say student, I'm not talking about high school students or college or, secondary school. I'm also pertaining to at any age. I remember when I went to school, I went initially when I was starting out my career, I went with the students who were 65 years old. By then I was 18 years old. So you can understand that as students. So the importance of career training, it is very vital in a way that you get to know about yourself. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? When you sit with someone that is more experienced than you are, you get to know your strength, you as a person, you get to know your strength. That, oh, maybe when I'm speaking to Caroline, I want to be a nurse practitioner. And then I tell you the ins and bits of the nurse practitioner job, the roles, what is required of. It gives you an idea and say, maybe I'm not so good in this. And then it's outlines out your weaknesses. But I tell people weaknesses are no longer weaknesses. I remember when I was trying to figure out if by then I was a nurse, I was a new nurse, so I was trying to figure out if I wanted to be in the OR, in the operation room, or I wanted to be a pediatric nurse. And my first job that I got was a pediatric nurse. But growing up, I've always been emotional. I've just started learning not to be more, toughening up. But growing up, I've always been emotional. So I go to this job, these little children, babies. At the time, my 11-year-old daughter was a newborn. So I go in to take care of these babies. And then each baby that I saw, I'm just crying because this baby is sick and I'm just crying. And at that time, I knew that wasn't for me. However, it was a good fit for a grown-up, a patient that is a grown-up. If a woman comes to you and tells you, oh, my husband is doing this or my child is this, there's this emotional part that comes out, and have empathy for this woman and put yourself in this, but it didn't work for the babies. You know what I mean? So when I'm talking, what I think that career planning is important, because you get to know how can you use your weaknesses for the best, for the fit of your job or your path that you're trying to choose. The other thing that I know that the importance of career planning is that it will give you a much needed sense for you to see yourself in the future. So, if I come, I'm an IT person that is trying to be an IT engineer, and I come talk to you, Peace, and I say, you know what, Peace, and then you tell me the ins and bits of the job. And then how much money I can make, what time I can make for my family and things like that. So I start picturing myself, in the future when I'm done with that path, I think there's a question there. When I complete that job, I start picturing. So it gives you a sense to see yourself in the future. So that's another way of importance. But another thing that I can also say that can be an important role if you sit down and plan your future out or your career out and develop something that is going to work for you, it is that it saves time. When you save time, because I've seen a lot of people that would take subjects in college. They go to college after high school or university, and they take all these classes. And then the next thing they see, they'll get a letter from the administration that, you know what, you have enough credits, you are ready to go, you're ready to graduate. And then they are graduating in something they don't even know, liberal arts. And they've wasted a lot of time. They've graduated. Their parents are going to do this big party for them. And then when they get there, they say, what job am I going to take? And they don't have any direction. So then by the time they think about going and focusing, they have wasted a full 4 years. You understand? So when you waste time, you're not only wasting time, but you're wasting money as well. In America, in the United States, they say time is money. Because every time we go to work, we are punching in. If you punch in at 11, if your work starts at 11:45 and you punch in at 12:45, you've lost a full hour of money. So I believe that it's very vital to do a career plan for yourself, to set your goals and know that this is what you're going to be doing. And the other thing as well, it gives you a sense of independence when you sit down with another person and you're able to see what your strengths are. You're able to make a decision that is basically on your how can I call it? In case you fail, you're not going to give it to your mother, oh, mommy, you told me to do this. It is a decision, it's an independent decision that you made. So that's, unless you have something, but that's what I always tell my, my students when they come to me, or people when they come to me and ask me for advice. So they don't have to waste time.
Yeah. Wow. Time. Very, very important factor, I think a lot of us don't really appreciate the value of our time and other people's time. And if you choose the wrong career, you're wasting not only your time, but also your parents' time, because they're emotionally and financially invested in this career. So if you choose wrong, then, you know, their time is wasted, because they put in all this time, all these emotions, all these finances to fund a career which along the way you realize either you didn't want, didn't need, or is totally irrelevant. So it's, I mean, Carol, thank you so much for that. You know, I understand, and you know what you said about understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. So maybe on this, because I see somebody asked, do you think career planning is, you know, is related to passion? Do you believe passion could drive your decision in planning your career?
Most definitely, and that's the next question that I was going. I mean, the next thing that I was going to talk about. Most definitely, but it's not solemnly. You can't base on your passion to set a career, but it's part of the journey. So I know, you know, one of our friend Melissa sent me that question. So, and I think that was the next part, that how do you choose a career, how, you know, the conflict. So that question, the question that my friend here typed, it's if a career can be tied to your passion. I usually tell people that come to me, you know, asking me, how do I choose a career? I tell them, write down your likes, write down your hobbies. What do you like to do? Because, you know, that should definitely be the number one. Write down what, especially if you don't know what you're trying to do. If you're confused, you know, maybe your parents, you know, you see your sisters, your siblings are going ahead in life, and you're like, my goodness, what do I want to do? I tell this person, write down your passions, write down your hobbies. What do you make a list of the hobbies, the things that you want to do in life, that you enjoy doing? Because you have to understand that when you have a career, this is the definition that we give, is that this is a lifelong decision. So you do not want to take on a job or a career that you do not enjoy doing. Do you understand? Because you don't want to go to a job in the morning and you look at, for example, in a nursing home. I don't know if Peace, you've been here. I don't know if you've visited a nursing home. If you go to a nursing home, there's that smell that will, overshadow you. And then if you're a nurse and you get into a nursing home and like, my goodness, and you don't enjoy being there, I'll tell you that's not your hobby. Just think of something else. So I tell people, write down your passions. And you write a list. The next thing that I tell them to do, write down what other people tell you about yourself. So, I'm a woman of faith. I have a church that I'm associated with, and people have been coming to me and telling me that I'm a person, when I start fundraising money for any event, people come through and, the money is raised and all that. And initially, I never saw myself that way. I've started seeing myself because I see that when I was growing up, people told me I was so emotional. No wonder I'm in the healthcare field. So, I write down the things that people tell you, if they tell you that, oh, you love to talk too much, maybe you're a journalist. And if you enjoy talking, go for it. So I tell them, write down your passions, the hobbies, and then write down the things that people say to you, say that these things, yesterday when you gave me advice about my child, oh my goodness, it worked. My child turned out to be so good and so forth. Maybe you're a counselor. Maybe you're a social worker. So you write down those things. And the next step that goes ahead in choosing a career. So I'm just going to move forward, Peace, if that's okay.
Yeah,
okay. So the another step that goes after you write down your hobbies and write down your what other people tell you, then you can maybe choose 3 that have similarity. If you love to talk and somebody tells you that, my goodness, each time you talk, you bring people around, then maybe you want to focus on public speaking. Maybe you want to focus on social, counseling people, whatever it is. So after you do that, go into the exploration phase. Explore this thing that you think you might want, that people, your passion and what people are saying about you. Explore. And when I say explore, technology, we right now we're working on technology. Go on the computer and look up, such information. The other thing you could do is, make phone calls. You can make phone calls or go physically and find out, have an active research of that thing to make sure, is this the right thing? What entails, what new opportunities are out there in this particular field that I'm trying to embark on. So the other step after exploring, I would tell people to engage themselves into activities. Maybe get involved in an association. For example, here in Massachusetts, I'm a part of the Massachusetts Nurses Association. In that association, there's new opportunities. There's always new stuff that they give us to go up in the ladder in whatever decision. There is always webinars like this like the Zimba Women webinar that we're doing right now. There is volunteering opportunities. So I would tell people, go volunteer, go do some internships, and that goes in hand with the experience. That's the other thing. Before you make a decision of what career path you're taking, I tell people to go have some experience, like, for example, of course, volunteering, maybe internships. And the good thing with internship, it's not a long-term decision that you're making, like you're taking it on a job. You can say, I'll give my 2 hours in for this particular job, path, to see what it entails in there. Is the stress level, what are the stress levels of this job that I'm trying, this career path that I'm trying to embark on. So the last thing that I would say in the steps of choosing a career would be finalizing your decisions, because there has to be a time when you finalize, because you can't just be going on writing down your passions and talking to people. You have to come to the time when you make the decision that this is, now that I've talked to people, I've interviewed people, I've seen people, I've observed, now it is time to make a decision, which I call the embarking on, and maybe looking for the university that to go to, or college, or whatever training centers that are there for that career path that you're trying to choose. And I think that's it. The other thing I'll probably speak about it more later on in our conclusion. So somebody sent us a question. So it says here, do you want me to read this out?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. So Florence says, what do you have to say to someone who is at the crossroads and needs to change their career halfway through their adult life, especially if though something like that ended up living up with their parents, as opposed to yours. In our African setting, parents are still fixated on specific careers, doctors, forcing children to follow. All right. So I'll start with the part, so what Florence is asking, when you're at a crossroad, and in my videos, I think Florence they already pinned my YouTube channel, because I've spoken about this in my YouTube channel. So, I applaud you guys, Peace, and the group that, when I was listening into your, to the other video that you did when you're in the United States, when you say that you go to schools and talk to teachers and you talk to students, it's very important for parents as well to make even webinars for, teaching parents to know that, yes, this is your child, but this child has a different pathway. As I said, I have 4 children. They're all different. I had to struggle. I've spoken to Faith about my first daughter. She struggles a lot in decision making. She struggles a lot in a lot of things in her learning. She has a different way of learning, and it is very important for parents to understand that what was best for you is not best for my child. Get to know your child and know what are the weaknesses and strengths of your child. Because sometimes when parents force children or their children to do certain, like, for example, Florence said, lawyers, accounting, you might be setting them up for failure, because there is no passion, there is no interest in any of that. And maybe they're not even able to for example, lawyer, accounting. My goodness, when I was growing up, I thought I was going to be an accountant because my mom came home, my auntie, whom, raised me up, I call her mom. She used to come home with these piles of books and she would set me up. So I start, at a young age, I'm starting to balance books. And when I came to the United States, I thought I was going to be an accountant. And thank God for the career planning here and development, I was able to change my mind. But what advice can I give to, I would advise you to follow your heart. Follow your heart respectively, because of course these parents are the ones maybe even sponsoring you to pay for your tuition. So find a way, talk to them and tell them, Mom, listen, I think the parents these days are catching up on the new era. They're okay for their children to speak to them, but I mean, find a way of talking to your parents. I have a cousin of mine. He was not very smart in school per se. So he went and spoke to my auntie, who's my mom, and told Mommy, listen, you need to stop wasting your money. I go to school, I do not understand anything they're teaching. And the good thing, my mom was very fortunate to be able to listen to her. But, of course, there's parents that, Florence is talking about, these parents that don't listen at all. And they are, with that, if you have such a parent that does, you cannot twist them left and right, I think you have to go in that direction because they're paying your tuition. And but the other question that
I'll just jump in here.
Go ahead.
To add on to what you're talking about. A lot of times our career decisions, of course, are either going to be what our parents did, what our relatives studied. I mean, when I was choosing a career path, I remember a lot of relatives on my mom's side were pushing me towards education because many of them have been successful as teachers. Yes. But that's not my passion. My dad is an engineer. So my choice of going towards the engineering path really wasn't about him, but because he created an enabling environment that made it easy for me to love math. He would give me extra classes in physics and math. So as a result of this, I was really good at these things. So it was kind of normal because those are things you're good at. So you kind of gravitate more towards that. But then again, the engineering that you wanted me to do was electrical, and I didn't really feel that because, IT was coming up. So I went towards the computer side. That's when I did computer engineering. But my advice to maybe somebody who finds themselves in a career journey that they didn't really intend to, let's say you've graduated, you're a doctor now, and you don't really want to be a doctor, maybe you want to be an engineer or you want to go towards tech, is that, fine, you've I don't want to call it wasted, you've taken all this time to, learn a skill set that is relevant in the world, but is not what you want. However, the good thing is that with the way the world is moving right now, most careers are, they're like intersectional. So what I would say, for example, let's say now I'm a computer engineer and suddenly I want to practice law. Guess what? There's IT law. True. I can go ahead and do a master's in law, but focused on forensic law, for IT law, ethics of use of digital technologies. You see, so now I'm moving away from like IT practice, but I'm moving into law. Yeah. So I could be a doctor like Carol and decide that, maybe now I don't want to deal with people anymore. It's too traumatizing, but maybe I want to do development work where I decide policies that determine, I want to get into development work, but how do I get into development work? Maybe I could get into a UN agency that is doing work in developing countries in my area of medicine. So I could go do maybe a master's in public health and go work in maybe UNICEF or maybe WHO. So I advise them on, what medical solutions they would give for maybe war-torn countries or people who are like children who need medical intervention. So I'm not really dealing with people directly. I'm moving more towards development, but I'm not really giving up on my original career path because you don't want to waste 3 years or 6 years of a career journey that is actually still beneficial, but you don't want to give up on your dream. So you have to find a middle ground. Let's say you're an accountant. You can move from accountancy to a whole different field. Let's say you want to work maybe like in a vet clinic. your skills can still be relevant as an accountant in a different environment. So don't box yourself in this career journey that you're in and you get frustrated. You're like, oh my God, I did the wrong course. My life is over. I know people who did social sciences and now practicing IT because, for example, like in IT, we have certifications. So you may not be so technical, like fix a computer or what, but you can do networking. You can do a networking course and then go sell maybe IT software. You don't actually have to be an IT person, but remember, you have a degree in marketing. So you can go work for an IT firm and do IT sales. So you have to find a middle ground that makes it easy for you to transition from one career to another without really losing your skill set and being irrelevant in the marketplace. Because every time you think about starting afresh, there are young graduates, who are now in the field, who are like now have new skills in that particular field you want to go in. But if I move from IT into law, I bring into the legal world the IT perspective. So definitely I'm a step higher than the rest of the lawyers there. So they'll be like, oh, but Peace has expertise in tech. So when we're discussing tech law or forensics law, then I'm the expert. So I'm not giving up on my previous career, but then I'm giving myself an opportunity to get into the direction that I wanted to get in. So I hope somehow between Carol's and my contribution, Florence, that answers your question.
Can I just add on something very small for the thing of because there's a lot of people that come from different countries, so and then go to the Western world and they're already lawyers and they're accountants. The best thing here that you can do when you get here for your career, because something has been working for you in Uganda, maybe it won't work for you in the United States, because I think they've put, I don't want to call it a stigma or stereotype, but they've put it that the healthcare field is the only thing that's booming, working for you in the United States. But if you were an accountant in Uganda and then you come here and say, maybe, and you start doing, that's why career planning is so important, because maybe the career that you had in Uganda. So when you come, I want to advise the people on here, every place that you go, if you change a location, always have this career development in that country that you've gone to, and then sit and say what is going to, depending on your dynamics, because there's, maybe you've come here as a single mother or you've left your children back home, what is going to work for you here in the United States. I see a lot of doctors that come from Uganda and they come here and they cannot practice. America, puts them, is a good country, but they want to train, to use what they've trained. So, you everywhere you go, you should always set yourself to go back to that career planning. It shouldn't be something that you did when you're younger and you leave it in the back box. It always has to come with you everywhere you go. Like Peace was saying that, the development that's going on. Maybe at that point, you've been working as an IT person and now you're trying to go into law and you want to use that IT. So every single time it has to, that career planning has to go with you in every step of your life. Yeah, that's it. That is it. Peace. Let's see. Oh, go ahead. What did I say?
I know.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. You find yourself like wanting to go ahead of a discussion. So the next thing that we could talk about is positioning yourself. How do you position yourself for career success? How do you make sure that you're in the career path that you've chosen, you excel? You're not just like thriving, or you're not just surviving, but you're excelling, you're standing out, you're exceptional, and you are growing.
Yeah. So to answer that question, how I have done it personally, before even I go to what other people have done, I think when you get to a job, as we know that when after you've succeeded and graduated from whatever path that you have taken, and now it's time for you to get a job, you have to set yourself apart. You have network yourself. And how you're going to network yourself, you can like what I'm doing. You know, I remember when I felt that this is the right path for me to go, I called my friend Alan Semper, and that's how Alan connected me to Zimba Women, Peace, of course. And so market yourself, you know, talk to people that have done, you know, whatever thing that you're in, whatever path you're in. Put your name out there. And the other thing I tell people when they are at their work, and what was the question again? How do you position yourself?
How do you position yourself for success in your career? How do you make sure you're actually not just surviving in your career, but you are thriving?
You know, looking for new knowledge. You know, you always have to look, you know, I mean, the healthcare field, the way the healthcare field is changing is ridiculous. I remember, you know, last year, 2020, the pandemic started. And then, you know, how do you become relevant in a pandemic? Yes, you've been a nurse practitioner before, but now they are looking for people that are ready to go and put themselves there as first liners. So in that, you know, so I'm speaking of the healthcare field, but it pertains to you have to put your name out there. You have to work hard. For example, if they put opportunities for, you know, I've been very fortunate to work for companies that have opportunities to grow people, to excel people. So put your name. If they need somebody to fill in a position, Caroline will be able to do it. And that's how you know yourself. And the other thing as well, which might probably go into the technology, is also, you know, learning other things, such as, you know, how to use the computer to market yourself, how to get engaged with other people that are successful. Oh, I was watching the Zimba women videos on YouTube, and I saw these seminars that you guys went to, I think in Brazil or something. So, you know, look for opportunities where your name is going to be, you know, set apart. People to know what you do, what are you about. You understand? And I think, you know, you can help me and add on to that piece, please. But that's what I would advise people to do.
Actually, I think one of the things which has stood out the most, and also in the comments, is networking. Networking is very important, not only at the workplace, because sometimes even within different departments, there's going to be opportunities. There's going to be somebody to mentor you. So the more friends you make, the better for you. And when you're making friends, even at work, let's not just look out for a lunch buddy. Look out for somebody who's actually going to build you. Do me and Melissa have a similar career? Do we have similar career aspirations? Then maybe, you know, we can encourage each other. Yes. However, maybe, you know, Cara is in a different department and she's a boss, but she's also friendly. So why not talk to Cara and make her our friend so that we can learn from her? And possibly when she goes to top management, she'll recommend us. Of course, she'll recommend us with the facts in mind that we're actually qualified and good for the job, but she'll be the one to amplify our voices out there. So networking is very, very important. Yes. I see somebody talking about it is important to listen to your inner heart, inner man. Me personally, it helped me a lot through my parents, just me from home after graduating in a different field and chose entrepreneurship, and now they're so proud of me. Oh yes, sometimes the only way to win is to stick to your guns and be persistent and show those people that, you know what, I'm a winner. I'm going to show you that, you know, I'm driven and this is the career journey I'm taking. Oh, wow, that must have been really, really tough. Kudos for you for being so strong and actually excelling. Yes. I hope that you inspire other girls. I hope you join a mentorship program and come and encourage other girls who are giving up, because that's a very common thing of people doing the wrong course and then their parents getting disappointed. I see Sheila saying she's into management, program management. However, I'm doing an MBA and specializing in HR management. I did a postgraduate in project planning and a bachelor's in social sciences. I think the most important is to follow your passion. Sheila, it looks like your passion is in project management, HR. These days, I think in some organizations, they call it talent management. So, you know, it looks like you love working with people. I don't know if Carol has any comment on that.
I agree with Sheila that it's good to follow your heart and it's good to follow your passion, but we also have to understand that we are talking to a big audience. Yes, it might not be a big audience right now, but people are going to go in and log in. Passion is not the only, you know, it cannot be the only push for you to have a career. It cannot, you know, if I speak about, you know, because here in the United States, they start talking about career when you're 15 years old. You have to remember 15 years old, the hormones are working, your bodies are working, peer pressure, everything that is cool is going on. So they try to that because, as you understand, the brain is a very unique organ in the head. So they will start to, regardless of what's going on with your body and your peer pressure and what is cool and trending, they will pump into the career stuff. They will, to make you focus on the career. So if you say that your passion can change tomorrow. I can have a passion because my friend has that passion. We know that sometimes there's a saying that says the birds of the same feathers flock together, something like that. So sometimes you can get a passion because of your friend is doing so, and because your friend is successful in that thing, and you say, oh, you know what, I've been doing it the whole summer, let me just go ahead and do it. But it's not, and you really feel good about it. So I don't think that passion only it can push you to do something, to make a decision and career. But in some circumstances, like for Sheila, it works. And myself, it worked for me. My passion was taking care of people. So it worked for me, but we cannot just give it as an advice for people to make it as a sole decision maker. It has other things has to fall in place as well.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think also for me, my passion, because I love like math and physics and STEM subjects, and also I like fixing stuff. So that's how I ended up in the IT world, because you're always like fixing computers, but then in a way you want to also fix problems that are happening in the world, which is why we ended up with Zimba Women, because you're like, okay, what problems are the women facing and how can we help? So that for me is how I look at like passion coming into your career journey. But then like Carol is saying, you have to be very, very careful that you're not just running off into the wind with your passion and desires. You have to figure out, how is this a bankable career? How am I able to do something professional with my passion journey? So Florence has a question. How do you navigate? This is exactly for you, Carol, because you're a mother and you're a wife.
Yes.
How do you navigate family dynamics, especially if your partner or spouse is not as supportive, and yet you don't want to give up on your family, because marriage and family is a measure of success in some settings, but also not only that, because it's satisfying to have a good family structure, because you have a person to rely on, you have children to take care of. It's fulfilling on a personal level, not even just from a society point of view. So how do you balance that too, especially when they're in conflict?
Oh dear. So I believe in communication and talking, and I understand the pathways that some maybe your spouse, your mate might say, I do not want to this, but it has to start with you, the person. You have to be able to understand yourself that this is what I want. Because I believe when you know what you want, you are able to talk to your spouse and buy and sell something to them. You understand? And talk to them and say, this, you have to find, because I believe, of course, I know there's some people that have been, they meet their husbands and then they get married the next day. But if you come to that level, even of talking about career development, I think you've been together for a long time. So you, and like I said, I'm a woman of faith. I'm very, very in a submit, the biblical way of submitting to my husband. So if my husband says that this is not the path that you should go, I have to find ways of proving to him that this is the way to go. You understand? But how do I manage the time? Family, husband, children. I'll tell you, it's time management. I am a person that, thinks of time management, and I discuss, my husband might agree with me because I know he's online, but, I'm a person that, manages time. I think about, I prioritize and say, what is important? Maybe that career step that I'm taking at that time, it could be not the right time for it. Maybe if you have to sit with your spouse and see what is best. And I think if your husband sees that, maybe I wasn't thinking that this is the right thing for my wife, but she's showing me, or he is showing me, that she got it. She's showing me, the steps of but the thing comes up to time management, and also using your asking for help. I asked my husband for help. It's very tough. I'm very fortunate that my job, starts 8 to 12. So I see patients from 8 o'clock to 12 p.m. But then I have to come back and do these other things. I'm running a company. I'm doing all this. So I delegate. That's the word, delegate. I will ask my husband patiently, could you help me do this? Could you take the kids to school this day? Can you pick up the kids? Can you help me buy matoke from the market and things like that? And then so it's delegating and time management, pretty much. Delegating and time management, and asking for help. I asked my mother a lot for help. Some people might say, I don't have a mother in the United States, or I don't have a mother. My mother lives in the village, Busoga, and then I'm here in Kampala. You have to ask for help. Maybe your neighbors, you can ask for your neighbors, to help, to be able to go and achieve whatever goals you want to achieve. Did I answer that question?
Sorry.
Wives not to go to work. Okay. So my friends, some men tell their wives, and if they defy this man, ask them the man to leave. So in that, Florence, in that you have to, I keep saying that prioritize. If your husband is telling you do not work, do not go to work, and you, of course, I'm not somebody that says divorce your husband or run away. Then listen to him, and then find a way of, talking to him till he sees. And this is the thing that I do. I'm a wife, as I told you. If there's something that my husband is not agreeing with, I'm doing something, I can come in our good time, when we have a good time, and say, you know what, babe, do you see this thing? Do you see how this thing works? Oh, get a video. We have Zimba videos on there. Get a video and show your husband, watch it together. And say, look at these women doing so much. Look at, find some, women, we are very smart people. I believe God created a woman as a smart, being. So find a way of talking to your husband to learn. If you're trying to do, what example can I give? You're trying to go into IT, talk to your husband and show him the benefits of doing so. That's the advice, because of course I don't want you to leave your families, because your husband, I don't want you to be defiant in your marriage, because then that's going to bring more stress. So even if you go to that path and go for your goals, you won't be able to succeed, because you come home, your husband is giving you grief, you're upset because you don't. So I think that choice, I'll just give it time. I'll let it be and give it time, and just till he comes around. If he never comes around, like Peace said, there are so many other things that we can do as women, for career path. Think of something else that maybe involve him, that you guys can do together as a family. It's about, thinking ahead, and troubleshooting and seeing what works for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, when you say involve him, a lot of, I think, clashing comes from maybe the male ego, or not proper communication. Yes. Or like feeling that he's left out. Yes. There's a guy who, when we had just begun Zimbabwe, said, into Yabachala, like, you're excluding the men. Yes. How are we going to go on a journey of women empowerment and leave the men behind? So we have to find a way to convince them to come on our side. And that's exactly. Not just the husbands, but also, you can get other positive male role models. Yes. To talk to him about the same, just in case you feel like maybe he's not hearing me out. How about you ask your father or his father?
Yes.
Bring him to a point where he can understand your dilemma and what your plan for life together is. As long as it's not like looking like a threat to his kingdom, exactly. Then you can find a way to find a middle ground and work together. Yes. Otherwise, you'll be clashing. And I mean, a lot of these things are about communication, like Carol keeps emphasizing.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, vision and career are closely related.
Yeah, so I mean, this is really exciting. So we're coming to the final part of our discussion, which is, a topic I'm very passionate about. How do we leverage technology for career development? We've heard of this thing of tech for development, tech for medicine, tech for change. How are we using technology to grow our careers?
So actually, when you speak about that, I go back to the pandemic. The pandemic. So when I remember I was pregnant with my son, when the pandemic fell, we could not, we were very scared going back to work, and we were scared of getting the virus, getting affected with the coronavirus. And we were also scared of losing our jobs. I'm having an addition to the family and saying, my goodness, what am I going to do? But the insurances here in the United States, things are, it's the health insurance, is this pretty much it runs the healthcare field, so we had to use a lot of technology. We had to start seeing our patients. We had to buy the change, I mean, I'm very fortunate that our job was able to provide, they would provide you with cameras, they would provide you with iPads, so you're able to see patients, treat them, and using the telephone. And insurance said, you know what, we'll pay you guys for full coverage treating patients on. So technology is very vital in career path, or even in establishing yourself as a provider or any other profession. I was I go back, I like to look to go to YouTube and see what I can learn. I was seeing I think it was Sharifa and Sharifa Tumusime. They were doing a video on Zimba about how this young lady that is doing marketing atunda like clothing in Paris, I think it's Paris store or something, and she wasn't going anywhere with just selling things. And when she joined up with the Zimba, and they taught her how to do the online marketing, and I've seen a lot of people doing that. So technology is definitely a vital thing in even looking for employees. As a business owner, I have to rely on technology, because when I cannot meet, my office, my company office is this is my company office, so I can't let, and it's in my home, I cannot let people, a lot of it with the way the economy going, I cannot let people be coming here for application, for interviews. So I've relied on technology. There's such engines such as Indeed. I don't know if in Uganda they use that, but there's Indeed, there's Craigslist, there's a lot of them where you post your position and people apply, and then you interview them either on FaceTime so technology is very vital, whether it's in any sort of business or career.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Carol. The thing that you talked about, people using technology for their careers, for me, I'd like to add that one of the most important places for me has been LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been eye-opening. I learned so much from like-minded professionals. Yeah. And depending on who you're following, you even learn about what's happening in other careers. So, yes. I mean, that's how I realized that, if I ever wake up one day and I want to do law, somebody's out there doing ethics of IT law. Because, while we're encouraging people to go online, there's going to be issues like cybersecurity. There's going to be issues like, is our information safe online? And especially for us women, there's issues of online harassment.
Yes.
So I'm like, actually, if I wasn't on LinkedIn, I wouldn't have learned these things. So I know that part of my career journey is going to involve, learning more about law in that direction. So, the more you get online, the more you use tech, then you learn these things. It also helps you to network with other people, because when you post about what you're doing, then people know that, this is what this person is doing. So they reach out to you for job opportunities. They reach out to you for speaking engagements. I've been approached so many times for like jobs, for interviews, for speaking engagements through LinkedIn. So I believe we need to take advantage, especially as career people, of LinkedIn, even other social media, because a lot of times you tend to think that, LinkedIn is the only professional space, then I can't use the rest of my social. But remember, your social is like how you show up to the world. So why not use my Facebook for, highlighting my achievements? I can also use my Instagram. as I'm here showing you pictures of what I'm doing over the weekend, I'll throw in something, so that you don't miss the fact that, I'm fun loving, but I'm also an IT professional. So if you're out there at a party and then you see, this is out here doing these things, you'll be like, oh, by the way, she's a computer engineer, so she can do these things for us. So let's take advantage of the social space. Let's use technology as much as we can. Let's learn tech tools. We have a Zimba toolkit. You can reach out to Melissa. The Zimba toolkit highlights the different technology that can be used for different aspects. For example, like Zoom for meetings, social media for marketing. And then there's different things like Word, Excel, Access. It's important for us to understand how these things work. So that, with the pandemic and moving everything online, we need to know how different software is going to make our work easier. Recently I learned how to use Canva, so now I can design my own, branding material without having to pay somebody to design it for me, So let's embrace technology. Let's be open to learning. And yeah, that's really what I want to encourage everyone. And let's not think that tech is for only the tech people. No, let's demystify tech and know that it can be simplified to the easiest applications. Social media is an example of that. So, to conclude, I don't know if we have any more questions, contributions, or anything that Carol would like to add.
So I just want to encourage, first of all, I want to thank you guys for this opportunity, for, just elevating women and having an opportunity for women to learn more from, from the experiences other people have worked for them, but also, putting in the time for, I know back home it's late, maybe you would be with your family enjoying your dinner, but, you've set that time. But I want to encourage everyone on here, is just to give back. Giving back is very important. Elevating other women is very important. Of course, I believe that doing what I'm doing right now, just, on this live webinar, but also, the YouTube videos that I post, but also, caring for the people in the community. I believe that's giving back. I was able to be given back, so I have to give back to the other people. I believe also that the people that gave to me, I'm also going to give to other people so they can give to somebody else, maybe their children. And so I think, and giving back not only is the room, coming and mentoring or speaking. Some people may be shy and they cannot be, able to look into a camera or speak in front of people, but it's also, it can be a finances, giving back with your finances, supporting the cause of Zimba women. So please, take the time and give back and elevate somebody else. And, whenever, I know that Zimba, going through, did a little bit of research. You don't, ask money from people that use your services, but I believe that if we encourage people to give back, and it doesn't have to be money, like I said, it can be your time, your advice and things like that. But thank you so much. Thank you guys for everything that your time and everything that you put into this good, good organization. That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carol, and thank you everybody who's been participating today. I really hope the discussion was fruitful for all of us. Personally, it's been amazing. It's been, so good learning from you, Carol, learning your career journey. Because a lot of times you're curious about how are our people, managing out there. So to know that our people are out there excelling and have career advice that really, really relates to what we are doing here is very, very important. We now know that, a career journey spans, geographical boundaries. It doesn't mean that I can only progress in my career in Uganda. I can make it in the US, I can be a Ugandan out there shining. So no matter where we are, we can excel. So ladies, I want to remind you of that. Keep that to the top of your mind. No matter where you are, no matter what station you are in your life, there's an opportunity to change, to improve your life. Like Carol kept saying, constant learning, career growth. That's very, very important. Reach out to people. We have a mentorship program. So if you're interested, reach out to Melissa. She sent out the invitation, and then we'll put you as part of our mentorship program. We're always willing to share information. Thank you, Carol, for that. And yeah, and another thing Carol emphasized that is really, really good is giving back. Part of your growth journey comes from giving, because a lot of times we think that if I take on somebody to mentor, one, I must be very highly qualified. That is not true. But also I'm only giving. I'm not, so people are very mean with their time. Yet in your giving journey and mentoring somebody, you're also learning from them.
That's true.
I may come in as a mentee, but you learn something from me that will push your career to a different level. Or maybe by being associated with me, I could make a comment on your post and somebody who knows me will pick it up and will give you an opportunity. So let's not be afraid to give. The universe gives back abundantly. So let's share information, let's share our resources. Another thing we can do is, as Zimba women, we're always looking for trainers, we're always looking for mentors. We don't directly ask for money. If you want, you can sponsor a woman to attend our programs. So yeah, thank you, ladies. I really don't want this to end. We could continue talking until late in the night. Thank you, Carol, so much. I know how busy your schedule is. We appreciate you doing this for us, and we look forward to many, many more discussions like this. Thank you, Melissa and Cynthia, for organizing this, and to the rest of the Zimbabwean team. Oh, and shout out to my co-founder, Sharifa, the most valuable player.
So, yes, thank you guys. Thank you. It was really good.
Yeah.
All right.
Over to you, Melissa.
Oh my God, you guys, thank you so much. This was really amazing. So much insights over on this side personally, and also to our Zimba community. So we really appreciate you making time to speak to us and share your experiences. And we are definitely going to build on that moving forward. And yes, also this conversation has been recorded on Facebook. If you have any friends that have missed, please visit our Facebook page and share this video with them.
Thank you.
Yes, and also check out our YouTube. Carol's YouTube is also in the chat section. In case you have any questions for her, please. Yes, we're leveraging technology around here. So let's do that.
All right.
So, thank you, ladies. And we have come to the end of our session. I will see you in the next one.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Carol. Bye.
Thank you, bye. Take care. See you in Uganda. Yeah.